Good day, traders. This is Rich with some weekend price action on the markets. Currently 11:43 a.m. daylight savings in the United States, November 1st, 2020, Sunday, first day of November. And the reason I wanted to create this video is to go over a few things. One is market sentiment, which I really don't focus on, but I think it's pretty critical at this point. Some motivation potentially for you, and as well as the October update a little bit more in depth. I did something on Friday, but this will give a little bit more clarity to that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and all that good stuff. I really appreciate that. I would have loved to do video of me. I'm not there yet. Still looking for a good camera that I want to get. If you guys have any suggestions on that, just leave a comment below of what camera you suggest for a webcam / it'll be like a picture-in-picture type of thing of me talking down here or something like that. I'm not too sure how I'm going to do it. And, I'm a little bit older. I'm not necessarily the one to know all this stuff that people are doing with their streams these days on YouTube and Twitch. So any input is helpful. So let's get into it. I just want to cover a few things, which is going to be the sentiment first. And if you want to fast forward, it's okay. I get it. It's going to be a pretty long video. And I wouldn't say it's going to be long. We'll just see how it goes. But I really want to go over that trade because that's kind of motivational. And I'll do that last because, you got to save the best for last, right? So here's a look at the SPY. I always talk about the SPY being the kind of general overall view of the market. Now, we could have been focused on the NASDAQ. But the only problem with the NASDAQ is it's just cranking. And the SPY has a little bit more structure to it in a sense of amount of different kinds of stocks that have been moving. You got the poor players as well as the high players in there versus NASDAQ, where you really have those big movers that, are the majority of the move. So the SPY really tells the story, I think, of the overall market versus something like a NASDAQ, even though you can look at either one and you'll be just fine. So here we are. We're talking COVID coming out. Pretty much the announcement from Trump saying he's shutting down things. It's time to start quarantining and things like that. And things just kind of fell off the face of the earth. People were wondering what's going to happen with the world. People were not going shopping. People weren't leaving their homes. People were just taking walks every day. You know how it goes in quarantine. And then the government just said, you know what? We're going to pump this thing. We're going to pump it with a lot of money. So all of a sudden, we hit a bottom here. And we saw really lows in the SPY. So if we saw a low of 218.26, we hadn't seen that for many, many years. I shouldn't say years, but quite a way back. I don't even remember how far back. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. But then the money just kept pumping in. Some good news came out of the quarantine stuff. Numbers were going down, figuring stuff out. It's like around where New York was like getting decimated, and Italy and Spain, all those countries are getting decimated. But people were still pumping. People were still pumping cash into the markets because they were getting stimulus, and then they were getting the government was packing in funds and ETFs and things like that. So this is a lift. So you check out this volume, just insane volume here during the move down. And then we had that steady volume at the early beginning, and then it kind of fizzled out. But if you notice something, anytime we hit a pretty big lump down, for example, here, our volume picks up. And then when it goes up, it stays below the volume that moved down. So here's another dumping in the markets. On this particular candle, notice the volume. The next day was nice, but not strong enough. And then over here, we saw the same thing. Volume is picking up on the way down and then slowly on the way up. And then here we are again, volume picking up on the way down this week. And this week was tough. This week is really tough. And we're facing a scenario where we might be heading to new lows over the last 3 or 4 months. Are we heading to 312 here? This level is an interesting location. We're now at this gap area from this particular day in June, and we're seeing markets get a little bit heavy. We've been talking about the heaviness for some time. And notice what I was talking about in October. I had a really good September, right? And notice the markets are going down mainly in September. And I had a really good September. And then the markets turned up in early October, and I was doing really well in early October. So I was doing well in September and well in early October, and this leads to that point of my October overview, is that things all of a sudden hit a switch here. We hit all-time highs again almost. Just shy of it. It didn't get up there. And it was around the 13th, and then it was the 15th that really got me going downward on my equity curve. I started taking things I shouldn't have been taking. During this time, I was taking things I got away with. And on the way down, I was taking things I shouldn't have been in. And, from the 15th on, I was seeing this. This is a really rough patch right here. I lost a bunch of money of all this gain. And I was actually moving with the SPY a little bit. Obviously, I didn't really do it on the way down because I was making money here, so I can't say it correlates. But over the last few days, this week, I had a pretty good week. Other than Friday, I lost a couple $100. But these few days, I did well, and the markets were kind of down on the day. Of course, we were up on Thursday, and I had that really good day on Thursday. But on Friday, we were down, and I lost a little bit of money. But on these other days, I did well. So you just have to... when it comes to market sentiment, where are we going from here? We have the election tomorrow or Tuesday. We have my birthday tomorrow, but we have the election on Tuesday, and it's unknown what's going to happen right now. Just like you don't know if the market's going to go up or it's going to go down. You just have to be prepared for these levels, right? Are we heading to 312? Are we heading to 300? Are we heading to 325? Are we heading to 350? No one knows. So you just got to play what you see. And I doing a post on the website about sentiment when you ask others. When people are in this level, you ask people, oh, I'm selling everything, and there's smart buyers that are like, okay, I'm buying everything because you're selling everything. And the way I've looked over the last couple decades is when a lot of people are saying one thing, it's almost best to consider the other direction. So I'm starting to hear from people in the last couple days they're hanging on. They said, oh, we're just in a little downturn in the markets. I'm holding my shares. I'm not selling anything. They weren't talking about specific stocks mainly. They were just talking about the overall, their portfolio, long-term, retirement, whatever it is. And the most cases, if you're in a retirement account, you're just buying and holding, and you're buying more as you go on, and hopefully buy lows on the dips and things like that. But there are a lot of people that do move their money around during the year. And in this case, we're at the point where a lot of people are like, oh, I'm holding. Last time people said they were holding, and and they were going downward this way, and people are like, oh, I'm buying. You have to decide what is right for you. If you're up, let's say you're up on one stock like 100%, but now you're up only 80%. Is it a good time to take some profits off? And I mentioned this in the past on my Apple trade, and I kind of made a mistake there. I got on the wrong side of that one, but I didn't know. I had no problem taking the profits that I took. I'm looking to get back in Apple, of course, and I will probably around 100 or 90 or so. But are the markets going lower here? Are we going down to 300? If we go down to 300, yeah, I'm going to start buying. I'm not buying here. And I think a lot of people are going to start buying because anytime we dip, people start buying the rip. But we're hitting a double top here, and the election and everything. So I can't see myself buying for long-term holdings. Now, I'm not talking about the day trading at all right now. And we'll see. The sentiment right now is that people are holding through this downward move. And a lot of times when that happens, it's a good place to sell. And then you could sell and take your 80% profit instead of your 100% profit. And then down here when you get to 300, you can save yourself money and start buying again. That's what I'm saying. So you have to decide on which way. You can't predict what the low on this market anymore. You just can't. But is it okay to take some profits in the market? I think so. I think it's safe to say, oh, I'm, up 100%, but now I'm only up 80%. You know what? Let's say I have 100 shares. I'll take 30 off. That's a lot of money, right? And if it goes down, fine. You can buy 30 shares worth. And that savings, that, split there, could be worth a lot of money. So keep your eye on the markets. Keep your eye on the sentiment that's going on right now. The people that are selling, we're top heavy. There's a lot of people saying buy, buy, buy. Stocks only go up, but guess what? They don't. And an opportunity like this back in March, does it happen again in the next 5 years? I highly doubt it, unless COVID turns into something totally different and actually kills a lot more people. We might see moves like this, and then who knows? So that's the type of thing where it's okay to take some profits, and then always get back in. Now, do you want to get back in at 350? I don't think a lot of people do, and that's why we're fading off a little bit. We were top heavy, and it made the markets kind of challenging here to trade. Even though I did okay, I had a rough go in mid-October around this area. We're just figuring it out. We're trying to get high, failed. Trying to get high, failed. Trying to get high, failed. So that being said, be careful out there. Understand the market sentiment. Talk to people and see what they're thinking. And always think about the other side. I'm holding. Oh, yeah? Well, guess what? I might be selling. So that's just that. Okay, so the next topic I want to talk about was October. I want to talk about 2 or 3 of the good trades I had, and 2 of the one trade I did not do well on. And it wasn't just one trade; it was a multitude of trades. So let's talk about the bad one first. It's SPI, and this is where it set me off around that day. So it was on this particular day here. I'm sorry. We're in October. So this is the day where everything kind of turned for me. It was October 15th. And you can see here the price of the stock opened at $12.16 and took a low out at $8.93. I got in on 3 different trades trying to break the highs of this 12 level. And I failed every time. I ended up losing $535 total on the 3 trades. And that just screwed me. And from all my gains, not all my gains, but a lot of my gains for October. And it just really hit me hard. I knew that was the stupid stuff that I was doing in, August? I took a couple Boeing trades and whatnot. And that's when I realized, okay, that just happened. Switch is on. All right, slow it down, be a little bit more defensive. And that's what I did. I stayed defensive, and I had minimal share losses. I had losses, but I had some tough trading in this area between the 15th and probably the 20th, we'll call it 22nd, and I was able to switch it back on when the markets kind of shifted back in my favor, and I was able to get some of those gains back and things like that. So you have to realize that this stuff is happening. So that was a stupid trade. It was a terrible stock. It's a crappy stock. And I just need to stay out of those things. And that's what I've been saying, and that's what I'm really focused on. So that was that one. Let's go into, was it NNOX? I think it was NNOX. So NNOX was a new IPO. And early October, it just made this really nice move. October 2nd, you can see it's a low of $29.37, a high of $38.50. I made $524 on a trade in this, early October. This is coming off the Boeing trade that I got stuck in, and TradeStation did not hook me up with anything, which I'm really still frustrated about, but there's nothing I can do. And then, of course, it made one more day of nice moves, so I was trading that on NNOX, and then kind of did its thing where it kind of failed back down, and I wasn't really excited about that. But what are you going to do? PLL was another one. It wasn't a... it's more of those lithium plays. EV and lithium has been big lately, and I was trading in this level, and it made these huge moves. And I think it was on the 6th I did really well, or 5th I made some nice money on it. It could have been the 6th as well. But once that made its move and it faded all the way down, I was watching it for like a week, and I couldn't find one trade in it. So I knew to stay away from it. It was just too top heavy, and I moved on. U was another one that was recently on this move here, I believe, through the 108 level, and I made like what was it? I forgot how much I made, but it was quite a bit of money on that particular trade. So those are my 3 or 4 really good trades this month, and I need like 3 or 4 of those a week, right? And then maybe one of the SPI trades a month. That was unfortunate, but it does happen, and I'm not going to really worry about that. So let's move on. Let's get into the motivational video. I don't have sound on it, and I'm going to have to pause and things like that and kind of go over what I was thinking. This is a trade from Thursday, October 29th on Pinterest. October 28th was earnings, and I was watching it, and I was talking to you on the video on the 28th about Pinterest earnings and how this thing is not pulling back. It's got a lot of strength. It's got a decent float for movement, and I just felt really confident in this trade. And this is probably the most confidence I had in a trade in the early morning in a long time, and it just took off, and it was just a splendid trade, and it's fun to watch because I was able to nail it, and there's reasons behind it. So I'm going to show the video now, and I'll kind of break down what I was thinking at this time because I just removed the audio, excuse me. And okay, so the markets are opening up. Volume's already 3.2 million on this stock, so I'm just thinking 65, right? 65 is my entry, not right out of the gate because I want this thing to open up. I'm looking at a 2-minute window here on Pinterest. I got my matrix here. I got my share size at 300 shares. And, with 300 shares, you're talking what? $18,000 to $20,000 in buying power. It's not much. It's not much for the size count I have. And I'm like, okay, I can go bigger on this, but the trade I took was not as... I had a lot of conviction on the movement, but it wasn't the perfect setup. It wasn't A++ on this one. So let's get going here. This is right after the markets just opened up, and I'm watching the price action. I'm thinking 65 because the pre-market was pretty exciting at 65, 64.13, and let this thing roll. Okay, so I'm watching 64. It makes the 64.56 high. Let's see, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, if it goes through 65, I'm thinking about pressing the buy button here if it gets through 65. But you can see my price is set for 65 down here. I do a test to make sure TradeStation is working. Cancel that, so I put it back into 65, I believe. Yep. Okay, so here it goes. Just made it smooth through 65, and I say to myself, okay, you just missed that trade, right? You just missed the trade to 65 to 65.80. I'm doing all this extra stuff to make sure TradeStation is working, and it just went through 65.80. But look where it is at 64.93. Print, 64.92 print. And I'm like, okay, I just missed that trade. But then watch what happens here, guys. This is the critical part. Made that new high through 65, and then it just flushes here. And when the flush happens, that's when I'm like, okay, if it makes its move back towards 65, I'm getting in this thing because it's going to rip. So it just flushes down. Look at this candle being formed here. It's a 2-minute candle. And I'm getting really, really excited about this now because it just flushed really well. And that's when I determined, okay, if it's coming back up, it's going to come up really, really fast. And I actually said that to the guy I'm trading with. And I said, look, this thing's going to fly if it's going to move. And once I saw it make its move, I said to myself, we're all in on this one. So let's see what happens here. I might have to fast forward a little bit. It's kind of pushed back up a little bit, trying to challenge that level after it flushed down. I think it makes one more flush down as well, and then the magic starts. So let me just fast forward here for a second. Okay, so here's the flush down through 63, right? So 63.75 we just saw on the bid side, and here it comes. Look, boom, boom. Watch how fast it goes. Ready? There was that pause there, and it's just flooding up. So I push the buy button, and I get my fill. No pain at all. I think it was $38, but it doesn't really matter because at this point I'm like, oh boy, 300 shares. This thing's ripping. You can watch my matrix gains on this side, and I take some off right there. I took 100 off, and so I already closed out $105, so I got 1 point total on that. I reduced my share size down to 50 for sale, so I get some lower, so I can ride this out a little bit. Took another 50 off. I'm watching the matrix here. I'm mainly watching level 2 here, climb and climb. And you can see the chart just climb and climb. Just nice little sell buttons. Look at this thing. This thing is just ripping. Just had so much momentum to the north side. I had a little bit of pain at the beginning, like an ounce of pain. I didn't even see it physically. And then as this thing just keeps going, I'm only in for 100 shares left. So now I'm reducing down to 25. I have an offer out at 67. But again, I'm watching the level 2 and I'm watching the prints, and the prints are just so bullish, just so strong. I did get a little nervous here. I canceled out, I believe, thinking it was just going to flush back down. But it was just one of those magical trades you're in, and it wasn't even thinking about going to my entry at this particular time, and it just makes another move up, and I'm like, oh boy, this is just fun, And this is what makes trading exciting. Obviously, waiting and being patient and all that stuff is hard, but once you get one of these trades, you're just feeling really good about yourself. So I'm going to fast forward, see if we can get a little bit more movement. So here it is going back up to 65.95. Here it goes, 66, breaks through 66. I have a 66.50 here with 25 shares. And in no time, I think I get taken out. Pretty sure I do, because I know I do. I just don't know exactly when. Okay, so there it is. So I got taken out at 66.50, and now I'm looking for 67. I think it was 67.25. Yep. Here it comes, 67.25. Like it just keeps going. You can see it on the chart, and you're in this thing. Yeah, if I had held all my shares, I had 300 shares, guys. I'm already closed down at 317 on this trade. A high of 67.12. So it missed my my offer, but guess what? Here it comes again, and I have raised it. I went to 67.50. Watch this thing, man. It just cooks. It's just cooking, and I'm just amazed by this whole thing. I only have 50 shares, yeah, but 50 shares is now up, what I say, 64.70. It's almost 3 points up with 50 shares, and eventually it gets taken out, I believe, in this movement. Can't remember exactly. But this is kind of like the play-by-play, and when I was thinking at the time, okay, so I got taken out there, 67.50. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, what else you got? Pulls back, just fast forwarding a little bit, and here it comes again. It pulled down a little bit. Fast forward another 30 seconds. It had pulled down. You can see here it pulled down a little bit. And now video's getting close to the end. So I still have 25 shares. I put an offer out at 68, right? This is kind of cool. Here it comes, 67. Watch how fast. 67.45, 67. So I know it's not really the most exciting thing for you guys, but it just shows you that if you can stay in some trades and hold some shares, these bigger gains are out there. These big gains. Look at this thing. It's just ripping. How do you hold more shares is what I'm trying to do, but I need to, in this market, I needed to take some of those gains. And I feel like, taking those gains that I did was well worth it. You can see it trying to hold that 67.50 level that offers out at. And I was thinking about taking some shares off. I think I did, actually, before the next move, because I did. I really wanted that 68 sell. Then here it comes. I have 15 shares, and I'm up $45 on 15 shares. And here's the 68 sell right here. Pretty sure. Yeah, there it is. And it rips through 68, makes a new high of 68.15, 20. I think it tops out there, though. So I'm in for 5 shares left, and I cut the video. So that just shows you the power. I mean, if I have 5 shares left, my position size is 5 shares, and I still have $17 in gains to take off. You can see here I'm 443 on that trade. Oh, if that can happen once a day, right? Once a day. So that is your daily motivation to stay in trades, find the good ones, be smart, manage your risk, all that good stuff, and hope that you catch these. You just have to have the conviction, and you got to manage your risk. I mean, if it's not going to work every time, of course, but if you can find this, oh my God, makes things a lot easier. So anyway, this sums up the video of sentiment, October, and a motivational pins trade. Hopefully we catch a couple this week. We got the election. It's going to be volatile. But who knows? We saw some downward movement, and you have to be patient. Stay patient out there, and be smart. Make sure you like, share, Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. This is Rich again, and you guys enjoy the month of November. Have a good one.